That is how deep Ramaphosa's fingerprints are on this project, okay?
To avoid the embarrassment of aggrieved workers disrupting this week's G20 summit in the full glare of international publicity.
And unfortunately, while Ramaphosa is spending millions on G20 branding, millions of Africans are thinking, bro, we are literally paying interest with our lunch money and you are out here spending and balling around like we all have money like you do. Allegedly. So, South Africa is hosting the G20, a global mega event led by President Cyril Ramaphosa. It's costing hundreds of millions of rands, my people, and it's happening while half the continent of Africa is drowning in debt, okay? So today, we unpack every tender, every rand, every economic crisis, and yes, every eyebrow-raising Ramaphosa decision in strict, brutal honesty, maybe with a flash of some laughs. A DA parliamentary reply actually exposed it. 194 million rand for the Leaders Summit and 497 million rand for Sherpa track meetings. Now, my people, that's just a whole lot of money, right? I know it is. I think so too. Now, fast forward to April of 2024, and Ramaphosa's first tender drops. The money printer starts going brrr. The Department of International Relations and Cooperations, let me just say, DIRCO, releases this mega tender. And this tender, my people, is for branding, advertising, and media buying and logistics. And why is that? This, my people, is because Mr. Ramaphosa actually promised the world a G20 that, in inverted commas, shows Africa's excellence. It's not my words, it's actually his. Translation to that, according to me, is him saying, open the procurement taps, daddy needs a legacy. This tender was the foundation of Ramaphosa's G20 image-building empire. The man must look good, okay? His presidency must look like a success, so please, everything for him. And then, in May 2025, we happened to get the 64 million rand media award. The 64 million rand media award. By mid-2025, my people, every single government department suddenly out of the blue had G20 energy. It was busy. The GCIS awarded the tender for 816,000 rand. And guess what this was for? It was for live stream encoders. And this is so Ramaphosa can look good in HD, even when he's reading speeches from his iPad at probably 8 words per minute. You know how slow he is. SADEDI, which is one of the organizations, a very random department if you were to ask me. Even people who didn't know they worked for the government were suddenly, all of a sudden, issuing tenders for AV equipment, my people. They were issuing tenders for promotional items, for logistics, for banners, you name it. It seems that maybe when Ramaphosa sets a vision, the whole state scrambles asking, yes, sir, immediately, sir. What would you like? Would you like a matte gloss or a gloss one? This, my people, just proves that the G20, G20 budget is whatever Ramaphosa needs it to be. Come September and October, Ramaphosa decides he wants VIPs. He does not just want vibes, okay? Now, Public Works says, let us publish a tender for Nasrec and for OR Tambo infrastructure. We are talking about barricades, my people, power installations, security fencing, VIP lanes, and temporary structures. All those little don't embarrass the president kind of upgrades were done for Ramaphosa because you apparently can't invite world leaders to Nasrec and just hope for the best. You need world-class security and infrastructure, according to Ramaphosa. Apparently, on a budget that definitely won't stay a budget as we are seeing up to this video. Then, in November, Musi Maimane says, enough is enough. Yes, there's something that is going on and I don't get it. Show us the bill. And Ramaphosa basically says, Aibo, where you coming from? Demanding answers is very important, my people. So my money demanded a full breakdown of all G20 spending, not just from the Minister of Finance, but actually, let's take it further. We want it also directly from the presidency. That is how deep Ramaphosa's fingerprints are on this project, okay? My money was basically asking, Dear President, oh, Mr. Ramaphosa President, where is the rest of the money? Sincerely, Parliament. So, what do we know currently? And what is Ramaphosa refusing to actually tell us? Because he is definitely acting quite dodgy. Public tenders, my people, show that 700 million was the budget. It also shows that the 64 million rand went to a media tender and that the 816,000 rand live stream was for the live stream tender. And all the infrastructure and promotional items were obviously also given a chunk of the money, but we want to know how much. So, what we don't see here are the emergency costs. We don't see the presidential security add-ons. We don't see any VIP travel contingencies. Those last minute Ramaphosa panic upgrades, yeah, and that mysterious other category. Treasury hates explaining. We want to see those. Only Ramaphosa can actually release the full ledger. And apparently, he hasn't. This is him saying, you know what, South Africans, trust me. And the entire country is definitely going to reply and say, no, you have eaten our money so much. We are tired of you, Ramaphosa. Give us that ledger. Now, let's zoom out to Africa's debt crisis, because this is bigger than what you think. And why Ramaphosa's G20 spending kind of looks like a bad comedy skit, according to me at least. Africa, my people, holds 60% of the world's solar potential, which is a good thing, okay? 30% of its transition minerals are what everyone in the world wants, but we have it, yeah. We have massive wind capacity, my people, and a booming young population. But unfortunately, debt is eating the continent alive. I'm not just talking about South Africa, the entire continent, my people. African countries are paying nearly 10% on bond yields. Some countries, unfortunately, spend 65% of their revenue just on interest. Now that is crazy. More is spent on debt interest than on education or on health, things that people need every single day. These are important for our future, but we pay 75% of the revenue on interest. What? And unfortunately, while Ramaphosa is spending millions on G20 branding, millions of Africans are thinking, bro, we are literally paying interest with our lunch money and you are out here spending and balling around like we all have money like you do. This is pure disrespect, okay? Imagine telling an African finance minister, come to Ramaphosa's G20, eh? We have biscuits and banners, while their debt interest is eating up 40% of their revenue. This brings us to the common G20 framework. And now, here we are, my people, in a crossroads that we never thought would ever be in, okay?
To avoid the embarrassment of aggrieved workers disrupting this week's G20 summit in the full glare of international publicity.
There is a new explosive report about Joburg being accused of diverting 4 billion rand to protect Ramaphosa's G20 image, okay?
Sunday Times reported today that the city of Johannesburg has diverted 4 billion rand from its already stretched capital expenditure budget from institutions like the City of Johannesburg Water, as well as the Johannesburg Roads Agency.
So according to Sunday Times, my people, the city of Johannesburg allegedly diverted 4 billion rand. Hey, Ramaphosa, this, my people, is from the water money and the roads and infrastructure money. Not for development, no, not for service delivery, but to stop angry workers from embarrassing Ramaphosa during the G20 summit. Now, what did I tell you? We need the bill.
The South African Municipal Workers Union reportedly threatened to close all freeways, amongst others, to embarrass the whole city, including the metros.
We need to know how much went into the G20. We need to know where it comes from, and we need to know how it is going to be accounted for. We cannot host people in our home that don't live there, that will leave the next day, and yet the children of the house are hungry. Ha! That's not gonna work. SAMU apparently reportedly threatened to shut down freeways and disrupt the summit. And suddenly, my people, it so happened out of the blue, an emergency wage agreement appeared.
And the roads agency.
Yeah. Okay. Is there an agreement? Is there a wage agreement in place between SAMU and the city of Johannesburg?
On Friday, after long negotiations, which were facilitated by a senior advocate from November 2024, we reached an agreement in principle on how the city is going to be reimbursing or paying the workers for salaries lost going forward, and also paying them as a grade 10 municipality instead of a grade 8. So that agreement was reached in principle on Friday.
The city is now unfortunately denying the 4 billion rand diversion. But I'm happy that there is no way they would not admit that something even more alarming is going on. Number one, they admitted to the fact that there is a wage agreement that is in existence. They also agreed that the city does not have the money. How do you not have the money? You are owing people salaries for things they've worked for in the past. And then you take the money you're supposed to pay the workers to plan a G20 summit. Oh, just Ramaphosa, what the hell? They also agreed to the fact that they need 1.2 billion rand this year.
Yeah. What is the gap? How much is the gap?
The gap is an amount of 1.2 billion for the financial year 25-26. And then there's another amount for about 4 billion in the 27-28 financial year.
And they also agreed to the fact that they need another 4 billion rand, my people, in 2027 and 2028. We are talking about people here who need their salaries. They have worked and they are still going to work. These are people's livelihoods, families, the people that we expect to be boosting the economy and the GDP, buying food because they have received their payments for the work. They will not receive it because you decided to take the money and take it to G20 summit. No, Ramaphosa, come here. Let us talk. And then they also agreed, my people, that they don't know where the money will come from.
Okay, so tell us what is available. What liquidity do you have right now to fund the gap?
As I said, look, there are various mechanisms. For example, we have
No. I'm not talking about the money. Hold on, Mulolo, I'm not talking about money that you have to go and find through cost-cutting mechanisms, hopefully through better collections and an early retirement program. I'm not talking about money you still have to find. I'm talking about money that's currently available. What are the levels of liquidity available right now to begin to fund the gap?
There is money in the budget to fund the gap, and obviously the agreement is over a period of 3 years. And obviously, as we do our budgeting every financial year, we will have to make provisions for the agreement.
Is this a banana republic or what? So whether or not funds were diverted, the city on its own, regardless of whether they agree to it or not, entered a multi-billion rand wage agreement days before the G20 without the funds to back it. What kind of a business is it? Even a spaza shop cannot enter into an agreement and say, I will buy stock. And yet I don't have the money to buy the stock. You are lying. All of this was to avoid public embarrassment under Ramaphosa's watch. He was wanting to make sure he is not embarrassed in front of his international friends, especially to Trump, because Trump saw it from afar. Yes, nothing says world-class G20 summit like a city taking out lay-by agreements for workers' salaries so that the president doesn't get booed in front of the Germans. That is crazy, my people. This directly exposes how Ramaphosa's G20 pressured every single department. And this is causing people to have financial panic. People are having unfunded wage deals. People are having last minute political decisions. Municipalities are bending reality to protect him. And a city is pretending it has 1.2 billion rand lying around to assist Ramaphosa. Players, man, we will not take this, because if this is true, it's a problem. I know that India spent 1 billion rand, South Africa spent 700 million rand, and Joburg they spent an overdraft, because at this point they spent money they do not have. What? The city says that they did not divert funds, but they did admit that they have no money. So basically, we didn't use the 4 billion we don't have. Oh, guys, what kind of a republic is this? And Ramaphosa's big chance to actually fix something. Africa, my people, needs faster debt restructuring and fairer creditor participation. The current framework, according to me, is slower than a Ramaphosa cabinet reshuffle announcement. Experts are proposing a 2-year debt standstill. And at least, man, let's try and have a climate-aligned restructuring. As the host and AU champion, Ramaphosa could push for real reform. I know you're thinking he did the right thing in that room, and I'm also thinking the same thing too. But we'll never know until they tell us the real truth. Or, knowing him, he could just say, we will considering the considerations. In due course, we will do it. Yeah, but I don't remember what we committed to. Something he would say. Africa, my people, needs action, but Ramaphosa loves process. Africa needs urgency, but Ramaphosa loves committees. So share this video if you think Ramaphosa, Cyril, President Cupcake Ramaphosa, should stop decorating the G20 and start fixing Africa's debt crisis. Please let me know what you think, because I want to see your comments below. Comment and say, show the bill if you want a full transparency. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and tag someone who needs to hear the truth, because Ramaphosa is hosting the world, but Africa is paying the price. And unless we act, the debt crisis, not the G20, will define our future. I blame Ramaphosa for all of this, and I hope you see what I mean when I say Ramaphosa is nowhere close to clean. He is selfish, according to me.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Oh, allegedly. My people, my people, my people.